Welcome back to another episode of the Innovate On Purpose podcast, hosted by Matt Mueller,
best-selling author of The Mindful Innovator and Rethink Retail's top retail expert.
We help retail leaders find clarity so they can grow their businesses purposefully.
We will uncover mindful tips, innovative solutions, and purposeful leadership advice and strategies that you can apply immediately to your retail innovation. Are you ready to innovate on purpose?
Hey, before we jump into the episode today, I just wanted to say thank you for hitting the play button. You being here fires me up, and I cannot wait to share with you the insights that are going to make a difference in your business. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and leave a review so I can reach as many retail leaders as possible. They too need to hear this. Okay, let's do it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Innovate On Purpose. I am your host, Matt Mueller, and this episode is brought to you by The Mindful Innovator. Today, we have an amazing guest here to help us really keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening with CPG brands and consumers as we move into the future. A lot of exciting things are happening right now, so many different events, and we have today Lisa Johnston from Consumer Goods Technology, a company and a brand that I've been following for quite some time and have used for insights myself, working in Mintel and CA Fortune, and of course here on my own as well as a innovation consultant. So Lisa Johnston, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be here.
Awesome. Yes, I can't wait to dig in. I mean, there's a lot going on in the industry right now. And I know you have been like super busy holding your own events, going to events across the country. So we have a lot to talk about. But before we get into those consumer packaged goods insights, just tell the audience a little bit about you and Consumer Goods Technology.
Sure. So yeah, we have been busy. Thanks so much, Matt, for having me. Super excited to be here. We have been really busy and I'm excited to talk about some of the things that we've been doing lately. So I'm Lisa Johnston. I'm the editor-in-chief of Consumer Goods Technology. I joined the brand in January of 2020. Prior to that, I spent about 15 years at a brand called Twice, another business media brand that focuses on consumer technology and retail. So CGT, Consumer Goods Technology, we're a business media brand for senior technology executives in consumer goods. And we focus on how manufacturers and retailers are using technology to drive change within their organizations across all functions. So our parent company is Ensemble IQ. It's a business intelligence company, serves retail, consumer goods, technology, healthcare, and hospitality. So in addition to CGT, they own brands like Progressive Grocer, Path to Purchase Institute, Convenience Store News, a number of other brands in North America. So CGT specifically, we serve our audience through a wide range of digital content and in-person experiences. So we publish content on a daily basis. We have a newsletter. We have our Analytics Unite and Consumer Goods Sales and Marketing events that we're going to be talking about later. We publish research webinars. We have our own podcast called Tech Transformation.
Awesome. Yes. It's great to have you on again. And I think there's just a ton of insights that your organization is putting out there. And I love that we're having this conversation now. In fact, like even the way that CGT is like handling like innovation has been really cool because like the way that we met, like our conversation started with a really cool program that you guys are doing, which is a texting program. It's so neat to get a text from you with insights, what's going on in the industry, and then being able to interact with you has been really cool. So just tell folks about the texting technology. I want it's so cool.
Yes, we have this new texting community, which is how you and I became introduced, which we launched in April. So it's probably best described as one-to-many communication. So twice a week, I send a text to our subscribers with some news or some information, early access to our content, and they have the opportunity to text me back. So just me back, as you know, it's not a big giant group chat where your phone's going off all the time. So it's really been a blast, to be honest, being able to connect with the CGT audience in a much more personalized way. They've been able to tell me what they want from content, been sharing ideas for questions for events, have the opportunity to meet some of them in person at our events on Zoom calls and in podcast.
Yeah, it's really cool, Lisa. Definitely I found it like where it's very conversational too, like where it's like I get a text from you like maybe like once a week, twice a week at most. And there's just really profound insights within that. So it doesn't ever feel like a bother. And it's just so cool to be able to even chat you back. So it's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's been, like I said, it's been a lot of fun having people share what, I get to hear really what's going on inside the industry from the people who are within it. It's been an easy way for them to let me know what's going on. We work with a provider called Subtext who makes sure that we're doing everything that's privacy safe, we're following all regulations and just making it really seamless experience. So
Yeah,
encourage people to sign up.
absolutely. And I know we'll get to plugs later on in the episode, but just in case if someone's got to run, how do they get to that? So they just go to
Yeah, so if you go to
cpgfoods.com?
consumergoods.com, you can go right on our homepage. You can see texting. Just click on it, and you just put in your phone number and your email, and it's really easy.
Cool. Awesome. Well, like we said in the beginning of the episode, there's a lot of things that are going on right now in the industry, a lot of events, and it seems like you're at every single one of them, Lisa. But like, the first one is like the CGT Sales and Marketing Summit event you guys throw. That just happened recently. So what were some like the main insights that you got from the event? Like what are CPG brands right now focused on going into 2025? Like what are you seeing?
Yeah, so we had the Sales and Marketing Summit in September. It was actually our 21st year having the event, which is really exciting for us. And so when it comes to like the people, process, technology Venn diagram, CGT focuses really heavily on the people and the process segments because we know it doesn't matter how great the technology is if people won't use it or you don't have the right foundation in place for people to see the value. So through that lens and looking at the summit, it really came down to, I'm going to say, three common priorities that you're seeing across the CPG industry for our audience. And so that would be, so for one, that's developing a culture of faster decision-making, right? Two, evolving consumer-centric and omni-channel strategies. And then three is building agile, curious teams, and then really redefining how you measure success for them.
Okay, so let's like dig into like some of those, like the developing a culture for faster decision making. What's causing that to happen, and how are brands like going into those decisions?
Yeah, so I mean, there's new demands, right, on brands on how they're meeting consumers and how they can serve their retail partners. I mean, that's kind of the heart of it and why they're exploring this more. Whether doing that, whether that's through AI or through other technologies and strategies. I know I jumped right into AI, but for the CG2 audience, it's not really new, but definitely successfully integrating it is top of mind for them. So Raheel Khan of Estee Lauder was our keynoter, and he really dug into how they're transforming their decision-making culture by marrying AI with human creativity. Right. So he talked about, he shared how they built this internal platform that lets their teams really quickly identify trends on social media, align them with product opportunities, and then deploy the relevant campaigns that they need so they can respond to the trends more quickly. He gave a demo of it during the event, which is really cool to see. It is more than just AI, right? You can't just like sprinkle AI on top and expect companies to move faster. So there's AI comes in sprinkle form. So there's a lot of discourse around brands that need to cultivate this culture of curiosity, right? So where teams are being encouraged to ask the right questions to really maximize the potential of these tools. So Raheel talked a lot about how there's a bit of an art to asking the right questions. It's what allows the team to dig in deeper and get these meaningful insights instead of just relying on the surface level data. So there's this emphasis on internal upskilling and knowledge sharing that's really critical because companies can't just outsource all of this learning. So really the conversations at the Sales and Marketing Summit were how they need to build these capabilities in-house so their teams are really ready and equipped to adapt and to innovate. So a lot of it came down to more of these soft skills or just this deep internal curiosity. So being able to ask the right questions, wanting to learn how to ask better questions, and then really being able to teach others within your organization to do that as well.
That's so important. And that's one of the biggest challenges I faced in the corporate side of it, like being in the CPG world. It's just like, we were making decisions very fast. Like it was just one decision after another. Like we saw somebody doing something with AI, like, oh my gosh, we need to be doing that too. How do we leverage AI? And we would start putting those sprinkles on top, and then
sprinkle it right on top.
Yeah. So we just started going right at it. But it is about asking those deeper questions. So yes, we want to move fast and make, quick decisions because our competition's nipping at our heels and consumers are changing ever so fast today. But like, if we don't slow down to ask the right questions, we could definitely be going down the wrong path. So I love like that brands are finally getting to a point where they're thinking about how do I equip my teams and use technology and tools like AI to help them get to those right questions. That's super smart and super needed. And you also mentioned like evolving the consumer-centric strategies. Like what were some of those conversations around consumer centricity?
Yeah. So, I mean, Look, we all know consumers want seamless, personalized experiences across all touch points, right? They want you to know who they are, what they want it everywhere they are, and they don't want it to be creepy, right? I mean, that's kind of the heart of it. So this has a lot of CPG brands reshaping their approach to marketing and sales strategies, including their technology investments, which is kind of where our audience comes in. So at the summit, we talked about how companies are moving away from traditional product-centric models to more consumer-centric approaches. And these are big shifts for some of the really large companies, like Kellanova, PepsiCo, Campbell's, and Kenvue, all of whom who spoke at the event. So we had Emily Minardi of Kellanova, Ellen Webb from PepsiCo, and Sean and Sony from Kenvue, and they were all talking about how they're using analytics to understand consumer preferences in real time so they can tailor their messaging, their products, and their services for consumer needs. Emily gave this great example where she talked about the success they're having in using consumer data for personalized experience to grow loyalty and then engage really more authentically with Gen Z. So she talked about when Cordell Beckham said he wanted to be a spokesperson for Cheez-Its, and they were able to really quickly launch a limited edition Cordeezy Cheesy Cheez-It product, and it immediately sold out. So it was just an example of how these larger brands are tapping into these, smaller influencers and not just these high profile celebrities, and then being able to really quickly create campaigns to understand what's resonating with Gen Z and then, align with their desire for authenticity.
Yeah, I love that too. Like with the smaller, I would call them even tests, like where you push these things out and see how does it work, and does a micro influencer actually help move a brand forward and create more brand awareness? So that's a really smart strategy.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear all the different brands talking about it. And they had this common thread of how it came down. It's more than just meeting consumers where they are. Of course, that's critical, but it was about speaking to them in the language that feels genuine and personalized, so you can drive not only engagement but this long-term loyalty.
Yeah, personalization, absolutely a huge one. I know like people do like almost look at their brands as being a persona, being a person, right? So it's like, it's a lot different, like ever since like kind of Twitter and like Wendy's and like Burger King, like, kind of battled it out on Twitter. Like people were looking at them as actual people or personas. So it's absolutely, I think, important to connect and personalize the experience. And yeah, with technology today, it seems like it's a lot easier to personalize. Like, what are brands doing to help personalize? Like, what kind of tools and technology are they using to help personalize the experience?
So yeah, it really ranges the gamut depending on kind of the state of tech maturity with the companies in. I think you could probably sit here all day and just have a whole episode just on personalization and the tools that are needed for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure AI could be sprinkled on top of that as well.
Probably somewhere in that conversation as well.
Right. Absolutely. So that's from the CGT Sales and Marketing Summit. And then just, I think it was a week ago or so, you were at Grocery Shop, which I was so bummed that I missed out because of Hurricane Milton. But hey, you got to experience it for me and hopefully fill me in. But how was Grocery Shop?
Yeah. So yeah, sorry to hear about your issues with Hurricane Milton. I think you and I were talking about, I had some team members who were impacted as well. Thankfully, none too bad. But yeah, it was definitely a big storm. So Grocery Shop, it was really exciting. I thought it was a great show. It was really productive for our team. It's always great. In my mind, it's always better to be out there and talking with people and find out what's going on than necessarily stuck in these four walls. So definitely it was great to be kind of on the ground a little bit and hear from, leaders what their plans are and just have a chance to talk with some of the solution providers about, how they're helping them meet their goals. So I thought it was a great show.
Awesome. And no, like on the Grocery Shop, I like to kind of go towards like, the consumer piece of it and talk about that a little bit more. Like, what are we seeing as some of like the trends that retailers are trying to really leverage? So it's like, they're talking to their suppliers, they're talking to vendors. Like, what are they looking to accomplish to serve their consumers? Like, what trends?
Yeah. So, for us, like, again, since we kind of focus on the brands, I really picked out two. I think that's a focus for both the brands and the retailers, right? And working in partnership together. And that's really, so health and wellness is a big one that you heard multiple companies talking about. And then also really the strong desire to serve the consumer need for education, right? Mm-hmm. So, both of these things they're most successfully served when the two partners are working together, right? So I think if you look at health and wellness, Ram Krishnan of PepsiCo really hammered in on this is a huge focus for them. So he noted, it means health and wellness means different things for different generations. So for Gen Z, this might mean mental wellness, emotional wellness, physical well-being. With baby boomers, the ones that are retiring or they're close to retiring, they're seeking products that are helping with their quality of life in order to live longer. So you see a lot of the brands, the largest companies tapping into this by expanding their product lines and their services that cater to all these different types of wellness, including stress relief, better sleep, just overall life balance. So if you look at Danone, they're a brand that's very focused on having a portfolio of health-focused products. Kraft Heinz, another one that's talked about expanding their portfolio and taking steps to add more and healthier options.
Yeah, that's so important. As we move forward, consumers are definitely looking for better health conscious products for sure. And I like how you kind of broke it down too by segment and saying, the younger shopper is not looking exactly for the older shopper. And this could have completely two definitions. And I suppose personalization kind of goes into that health and wellness trend as well. Because being able to
however the consumer defines wellness for them, whatever their priorities are. I mean, these are the brands want to have options to serve them as well, and to kind of build that loyalty with them.
Yeah. And as far as like health and wellness for the brands, like, of course you can create like new products and say, I need to like Kraft Heinz needs to create a healthier ketchup or whatever it is. But what are some other approaches that companies are taking to leverage health and wellness, the health and wellness trend?
I think Unilever is a good example of one. So I was also, in addition to Grocery Shop, I was at the Consumer Goods Forum event in Chicago, and that was in June. And again, some of the largest CPGs were there as well. And this theme came up as well as being top of mind for almost all of the companies that were there, really serving the consumer with healthier options from the full spectrum. So if you look at Unilever, they were a brand that's something they're even bringing into their advertising to better cater to this trend. So that I think they're a good example of someone who's focusing on the products, but really trying to improve their ability to communicate their value with consumers about how this can improve their lives.
Yeah, that goes into that second point, right? The consumer education piece of it and understanding exactly how does this translate to health and wellness. And yeah, education is something that's been extremely difficult for, I think, brands, and was one of my biggest challenges was to educate the consumer for my brands when I was on the retail side in innovation. Like how are brands like I guess what tools are they leveraging to be able to educate?
So in terms of the tools, I mean, again, it really varies depending on the type of the company. I think ultimately in terms of consumer education, it really comes down again to being able to demonstrate value. So even though inflation is improved, consumer behavior is still pretty split, and you're seeing all CPGs really report this. So there's many who are looking for premiumization, looking to elevate their product experiences. And then there are others who are looking for discounts, right? And some of them, it's the same consumer, right? It's the same, it just might depend on what they're purchasing and what they deem as being value. So it comes down to the brands being able to demonstrate and communicate that value, however that's defined by their shopper in the category. So at Grocery Shop, Josh Everston at Mars Pet Nutrition was talking about how they're really leaning into the consumer education aspect of this in stores, especially for Gen Z, to demonstrate the value of their pet products. So I guess the pet category is one category. He was saying it's similar to the baby category. It's very highly emotive. People think of themselves as pet parents, right? They're not pet owners. And I don't know if you have a pet. I have a dog.
You got a fur baby.
Yeah. So, we consider them definitely members of the family, right? So people think of themselves, this humanization of the pet category, that's something that's top of mind for all of the major pet suppliers. So with these younger pet parents, Josh was saying, particularly with Gen Z, there's a desire for education around the items they're shopping for. The brands can't just assume they know what's best to feed them, that they know what's best to feed their pets. And there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, which is where they're searching. So Mars is focusing on bringing this education to the consumer, not just online, but also right in stores in terms of what they're communicating right in the aisles with consumers.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. That category is like riddled with challenges and understanding exactly what is right. Like you see always like I'm a cat owner, so I don't remember the dog food, but it's like blue something. And they have like, where they're looking at the label to see exactly what's on the package. It's because, yeah, you don't know. It is like,
there's a sense of trust, right? You're kind of trusting more, like even if you're reading all the ingredients on the bag of pet food, I can't tell you that I know what all of them mean, right? So I'm just kind of trusting that the brand that I've selected is, serving my pet, the best way that they should be. So I think you see the pet companies, they're realizing they have, an opportunity and almost a responsibility to kind of educate consumers on what's in their products.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, as we're talking here too, and speaking about health and wellness, there was one actual really good execution I saw from Hellmann's on making Hellmann's or showing brand awareness towards how Hellmann's can be used in healthy recipes. And they they actually used WhatsApp, which was really interesting.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
so they had like a WhatsApp, I can't remember the name of the program, but it was like a healthy chef kind of option where you can have a conversation on WhatsApp with Hellman's chef, and they would
Oh,
give
that's really
you
cool.
healthier recipes of what you can do with Hellman's without just, thinking that it's not good for you. So it was a interesting implementation execution with WhatsApp. So pretty cool there. Well, Lisa, I have one additional question for you. So now that you have all of this great insights from the work that you guys do on a daily basis, plus on top of that, all these shows that you just been to, when we think about further out, like 10 years from now, like where is the CPG brand and retailer going? Like what are they going to need to do to remain relative and overcome competition moving forward?
So I'm going to cheat a little, right? Because these predictions are easy to cheat on. I'm going to give one that I think is important now, and I think is really just going to continue being important and increase over the next 10 years and beyond that. And that's employee experiences. So, and I think this really goes back to just, what we were talking about, creating these cultures of continuous improvement, engagement, employee training. And there is a really big technology component to all of this, right? So being able to make technology easier to use and demonstrate its value is a big part of improving employee experiences. One example I keep coming back to is the wine company Gallo, right? So Nitin Morali was at a grocery shop and talking about how he has some of his employees, they have to work, they're wearing like 5 different hats, right? So it's not fair to them to have to go into 5 different systems. So they're actually looking into leaning into composable technologies to really unify this experience so that employees don't have to go into all these different systems just to be able to do their job effectively. So, not necessarily distinct to composable technology, but I think you are going to see just more companies really prioritizing the technology that their employees use so they can operate more efficiently, faster, so they can be more agile and ultimately respond to consumer trends more quickly.
Yeah, I love that that answer. It's like something that is like deeply like connected to me is the employee experience because starting off in the retail business, I was like the frontline employee. And always wondering, like, what are they doing up in that ivory tower? Like, what decisions they're making? And it's always about, trying to figure out how do you actually create a more seamless experience for your employees? Because if you do a seamless experience for your employees, it's gonna turn around and be better for your operations. It's gonna be better for your consumers, and there's so much benefit to it. And it's nice to see and hear that we are seeing brands that are going more or going to the employee experience as a place to enable innovation and make things better for brands. So I'm super excited about that trend, and I hope to see it grow in the future.
Yeah, ultimately it's win-win, right? The employer is happier, more productive, and it pays off for the company.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on the episode today. Some great insights and definitely things that we should be looking out for the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Matt. This was a lot of fun. I'm really glad we were able to connect.
Yes, me as well. And just please tell the audience, where can they connect with you and be able to continue the conversation?
Absolutely. So a lot of different ways, all found on consumergoods.com. So you can sign up for our newsletters there. You can sign up for our texting community. You can find my contact information there. So just head to consumergoods.com.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much, Lisa, for being on the show today.
Thanks, Matt.
We have made it to the end of another episode. Thank you for tuning in. A couple of things before you go. If you have found value in this episode, I am sure you'll find value in what we have coming up. So please subscribe so you will have access and know when we launch the next episode. Also, leave a review. The more reviews we have, the further our reach becomes, and I truly want this to be heard by as many leaders as possible. Don't hog this all for yourself. I would love to hear your insights on this topic, so meet me on social media at Matt Mueller Innovation on LinkedIn and Instagram. And lastly, if you want to learn more about my story and what I can do for you and your company, go to themindfulinnovator.com. I would love to help you innovate on purpose. Until next time, just remember, bring a level of awareness to each conversation, each observation, each moment, and you can create great change in this world. Thank you.